Welcome to Overlooked, a podcast produced by TunukaMedia. My name is Yemi, and I will be your host for the show. Released weekly, I share overlooked stories from around the world with you. This will include the good, the bad, the weird, and sometimes the absolutely hilarious. Come back often, share with your friends, and feel free to add the podcast to your regular podcast rotation, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also connect on social media. Just search for TunukaMedia. That is TunukaMedia. If you learned something new, kindly support the show. Give Overlooked a like or a high rating. This would really help the show grow and get more people like you to learn something new. Finally, if you come across stories or articles that you think should be featured here, please don't hesitate to share them. Now, it's time for this week's episode. Hello and welcome to another episode. Spain's government has introduced a basic monthly income for struggling families. This comes at a time when the new coronavirus, or COVID-19, has exacerbated the financial struggles of the most vulnerable people in society. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez spread up the implementation of the policy, which was then released on Friday, May 29th. The measure is expected to cost 3 billion euros or $3.3 billion annually and is aimed at ending extreme poverty, which affects about 600,000 homes and 1.6 million people in the country. The new policy will guarantee an income of 462 euros or approximately $512 a month for an adult living alone, while families would see an additional 139 euros or $54 per person, with up to a maximum of 1,015 euros or $1,126 for every home. The Ministry for Inclusion and Social Security said that this means that every home would have a guaranteed average income of 10,070 euros or $11,180. About 100,000 families are expected to receive the money on June 1st. Spain's economy is expected to contract this year. So many families, particularly Madrid, have for the first time found themselves forced to stand in line for food handouts at local churches and neighborhood organizations. In extraterrestrial news, the existence of a planet the size of Earth has been confirmed by an international team of scientists, including researchers from the University of Geneva. The results, which you can read about in the Journal of Astronomy and Astrophysics, reveal that the planet in question, called Proxima b, has a mass of 1.17 Earth masses and is located in the habitable zone of the star. This breakthrough has been possible thanks to measurements using Espresso, the most accurate spectrograph currently in operation. For my coffee lovers out there, Espresso is not referring to your coffee. It actually means eggshell spectrograph for rocky exoplanets and stable spectroscopic observations. Now say that 10 times. Although Proxima b is about 20 times closer to its star than Earth is to the Sun, it receives comparable energy, so that its surface temperature could mean that water, if there's any, is in liquid form in places and might therefore harbor life. Having said that, there's still a long way to go before it can be suggested that life has been able to develop on the planet's surface. In another surprise, the team found evidence of a second signal in the data. If the signal is also of planetary origin, then it provides a potential that there's another planet accompanying Proxima b that could have a mass less than 1/3 of the mass of Earth and would then be the smallest planet ever measured using radial velocity method. About a month ago, I covered a story about locusts in Somalia. While I covered Somalia at the time, Somalia is not the only place where these locusts are a big issue. It has happened in other countries also. This week, I'll share the story of locusts in India, where they are now facing the worst locust swarm in nearly 30 years. The pests have destroyed over 50,000 hectares of cropland, putting further strain on food supply in India as authorities battle to contain the coronavirus. The swarm of locusts have infested the city of Jaipur in Rajasthan after traveling into India from Pakistan. Experts have warned that the locusts could move towards the capital city of Delhi if wind speed and direction was favorable. Why is this alarming? And importantly, why should you care? A swarm of 40 million locusts can eat as much food as 35,000 humans, according to estimates by the Food and Agricultural Organization. The current swarm has destroyed seasonal crops in the states of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. This will lead to lower production than usual and rise in food prices. An agrarian crisis and subsequent food inflation would severely impede India's response to the coronavirus pandemic, where thousands of workers have died from hunger after India imposed a nationwide lockdown to contain the spread of the coronavirus. As I mentioned earlier, India is not the only country attacked by a huge swarm of locusts this year. Countries like Somalia, Ethiopia, Kenya, Yemen, and Pakistan have faced the desert pests and their destruction. A baby has been born with two mouths due to a condition so rare that it has only been seen in 35 recorded cases since 1900. When the infant was born in Charleston, South Carolina, doctors found what they described as a duplicated oral cavity, or a second mouth. This included an upper lip, 6 sets of teeth, and even a small tongue that moved at the same time as the tongue in the main mouth. Although the condition was seemingly harmless, they performed an operation to remove the additional feature. So for good news, 6 months later, the baby is almost completely unaffected by the ordeal. No further treatment is needed, according to the study, which has been published in BMJ case reports. Volkswagen has now been ordered to pay compensation to owners of vehicles with rigged diesel engines in Germany. The ruling by Germany's highest court for civil disputes will allow owners to return vehicles for a partial refund of the purchase price. Volkswagen admitted in September 2015 to cheating emissions tests on diesel engines, a scandal which has already cost it more than 30 billion euros or $33 billion in regulatory fines and vehicle refits, mostly in the United States. US authorities banned the affected cars after the cheat software was discovered, triggering claims for compensation. In Europe, however, vehicles remained on the roads, leading Volkswagen to argue compensation claims were without merit. European authorities instead forced the company to update its engine control software and fined it for fraud and administrative lapses. Volkswagen said on Monday that it will work urgently with motorists on an agreement that will see them hold on to the vehicles for a one-off compensation payment. In awesome medical news, researchers have actually repaired stroke-damaged rodent brains, or rat brains, using human skin cells. This path-breaking study by researchers at Lund University in Sweden has opened up a new era in brain research, rekindling hopes for people who have been rendered helpless by stroke. Strokes occur when blood supply is either blocked or leaked, preventing brain tissue from getting vital oxygen and nutrients. Brain blood cells soon begin to die, causing physical and mental complications. The study, published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, says that it is possible to heal the injury caused by stroke and recreate nerve connections that have been lost. Basically, the researchers successfully transplanted the reprogrammed human skin cells into the brain of rats to function like normal nerve cells. The transplant made it possible to repair a stroke-damaged brain and recreate nerve connections that have been lost. The study ignites hope that in the future it could be possible to replace dead nerve cells with new healthy nerve cells also in stroke patients, even though there is still a long way to go before achieving that. Inspired by the success of their studies, the scientists have begun further investigations on healing brain cells in other animals, hoping to eventually get to humans. I thought this was a fantastic way to end the episode. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back next week. Thanks for listening, friends. As a reminder, the podcast is released weekly. Subscribe or follow across social media to be notified when a new episode is released. Overlooked is a TunukaMedia production, which also includes shows like Africa in My Kitchen, with more on the way. Follow TunukaMedia on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter to connect to say hi or to be on the forefront of upcoming shows and program schedules. Until next time, I'm your host Yemi, wishing you a better tomorrow.